Hello, BookTube. I want to make an announcement video today for an event that I am not co-hosting. Which just goes to show you what a nosy Parker I am. It's a fittingly low-skied, snow-squally day to make this particular announcement video because it's Sagalong, which is happening in April, happens every year, where a bunch of booktubers get together to talk about Icelandic sagas, one of the crown jewels of world literature. And this time around, this April, a whole bunch of great booktubers. I'll go through. I've got the list right here. A whole bunch of great booktubers. Not me as an official host. I am cheerleading, definitely. I want you all to read this book. But a whole bunch of great booktubers are getting together to read one of the greatest Icelandic sagas of them all. The format has taken different approaches in previous years. Every once in a while, though, the format will be that everybody will read the same saga. That's mostly doable when the saga is very long. We did this for Njal Saga just a couple of years ago. And this time around, the saga is another one of the greatest Icelandic sagas of them all. This is Egil Saga. This is the old Penguin classic, although the closest thing that the read-along has to an accepted text is this great thing. The Sagas of the Icelanders, a Penguin Classic Deluxe Edition with the deckled edges and the French flaps. Mine has seen better days because I use it a lot. I go back to it a lot. If you have this volume, this beautiful thing, you can see it's inlaid there with Icelandic designs, even past the cover. And if you have this paperback, yours is probably in battered shape too. You go back to this thing over and over. I forget. I think that... okay, the translation from the old Penguin Classic here is Herman Paulson and Paul Edwards. And I believe the Sagas of the Icelanders has a different translation. Yes, Bernard Skarder is a different translation here. And those are just two. There are many, many others, and I'm not sure whose translation is, for instance, available free on Project Gutenberg, but I'm sure it will be serviceable. And that, is easy if you can read on an e-reader. Egil Saga is very different from Njal Saga. Njal Saga is another really big Icelandic saga that has a cast of thousands and whatnot, and it was a great joy to watch the videos about that. Egil Saga is very different. It is a generational story. It takes place over a longer span than one human lifespan, but it is thoroughly dominated by its main character, Egil, who is a brute, a murderer, almost subhuman, but although in Njal Saga you get I would say you get all kinds of subtlety. If you're not paying close attention in Njal Saga, you will miss things. It's not just these outlandish comic book style battle sequences, although that has plenty of those. There's other things going on, and if you're not paying close attention, you'll miss them. And that was very intentional on the part of the bards that originally sang these things. They worked in content for the 2 or 3 booktubers in the back of the mead hall who aren't getting drunk. You still want to entertain them. They often have the deepest pockets, so you've got to put in complexity. It can't just all be name-dropping and axe-wielding. I would argue that you don't get the full complement of that in Egil Saga. Instead, you get a lot more primary colors, but a lot more heft. A lot more of... I believe it's the most powerful Icelandic saga, and I believe it's had the strongest effect on all the literature of the Edwardian period, the late 19th century, early 19th century. I believe it's had the strongest effect on, for instance, what later became the genre of epic fantasy. I believe it's had a stronger effect on those things than any other Icelandic saga. It is, in other words, what I'm trying to say here. The short form is, it's fantastic reading. No matter whose translation you get, even if your translation, the Project Gutenberg translation, for instance, might be old enough to have these and thous, you can live with that. You might even start to like it. But no matter whose translation you get, this is one humdinger of a story. One humdinger of a story. Tons and tons of major and minor characters, all of whom face staggering amounts of eye-popping violence at the turn of every corner. Now, given the relationship between the quasi-historical Egilhof, the Skalarhof, and the House of Athelstan of England, I could not possibly be seen to fraternize with this particular saga. So I am not actually a host for Sagalong this year. But I'll be reading Egil Saga again, and I urge you to do it too. Especially, and I urge you to watch the videos. I'll leave a link to the host down below. I want to give you the list here. Elena Makridina is the originator of Sagalong. the presiding genius. Although she likes to say not. She is definitely the presiding genius. But then we also have, or they also have Jack the Rambling Raconteur. We have Elizabeth at Bookish Norse, Lukash, Cruel Reader's Thesis. Scott Danielson is joining us again this year. Dario at Motley Reads, a great booktuber. Shawn D. Standfast is joining the fun. And Tilly Shelf, I believe, is cheerleading from the sidelines much like I am. I don't think she's an actual host. But I'll leave a link to, and also, of course, my old Norway rating buddy, Mark Richardson, will also be a host. I'll leave a link to all of these channels down below because it's not just entertaining. I mean, you probably subscribe to a lot of these people, so you have a sense of who they are through their reading, a sense of personality. One of those great things about BookTube is that it's not just an anonymous person making bullet point recommendations. It's people that you come to know as readers and as people. That's fun in its own, but it's extra fun to watch a group of those people read the same thing. That takes on just a wonder of its own. And Mark, in past videos of his about Sagalong, has also stressed an element of it that I don't want it to put you off. I don't mean it to sound impersonal, but it's definitely true, which is that this is educational. No one person is setting themselves up as an authority, but the multiple perspectives on these things really does end up helping you to understand, or me, to understand these works much better. This is a major work of world literature, in addition to being really a lot of fun to read. And you're going to have a lot of expert and enthusiastic co-readers with it for the month of April. So it's not a long book. It doesn't make a long book by our telling. I mean, the only reason that it seems long is because somebody had to say it out loud, yell it in certain parts and act it in certain parts while the fire was raging and the dogs were roaming around for scraps. It won't take you long to do. I think the read-along is doing 20 chapters a week, but they're short. A lot of them are very short, so it's doable. I wanted to put it on your radar. I'll leave a link to all the appropriate stuff down below so that you can consider adding it to your April TBR. I will be cheering from the sidelines and probably making a video or two. So I will wrap this up for now, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.